Complete game coverage of the Cougars is right here on the KSL Sports Zone. The Cougars head to Boulder for a battle against Coach Prime and the Buffaloes. Your home for the best coverage of Cougar football is right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. You're locked on to JJ and Alex, presented by G2G Bars on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome back, JJ and Alex, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Thanks for being with us on the program. We cover all the teams, of course, here locally, and we, of course, carry all the games. It's the home of the Utah State Aggies here on your station every weekend. You can get dialed in and get the voice of the Aggies, of course, Scotty G, bringing you that one. They're going to make a trip down to Nashville, and they're going to be taking on the nationally ranked Vanderbilt Commodores. Doesn't happen all the time. You don't say those phrases all together at once very often. It has happened in history, but right now, the most energy around the Vanderbilt program that we've ever seen, at least in my lifetime. JJ, are you there too?
No,
yes?
I've never seen a Vanderbilt team this good.
No Jay Cutler news back when he was in college ever took over what was going on right now with the folks led by Diego Pavia. Joining us right now on the program, Chris Lee, covers Vandy and SEC Athletics for Vandy247.com. Chris, thanks for being on the program, man.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Listen, covering the Vanderbilt Commodores, you don't get years like this very often, but the last couple of years have been pretty darn exciting. The win over Alabama, of course, last year, and then people looked at it and went, I think they were shocked when they looked and they saw that Vandy wasn't 10-2. I think at the end of the year, they're like, I thought that was what the vibe felt like. But this is a team now, undefeated, ranked 18th in the country. How good are they compared to what you've seen in the past of Vanderbilt teams, and does this feel more legit than you've ever seen?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, it's an amazing story, and you referenced that Alabama game. Like, at no point during the week leading up to that game, I knew they were better. You know, covering the game, and maybe until the fourth quarter did it occur to me, like, they might win this thing. And, you know, that game last year, like, they were a good team. They got a ton better. But you still look back at the end of the year and looked at the talent they had and some of the teams they were beating, and you're like, this is remarkable, and I don't know that it's sustainable. The team they have this year is a lot better than that team, and I think I've never said this. I've covered them now. I think this is my 22nd season. Like, this thought has never entered my mind, but I think they can compete with any team on their schedule. It's been incredible to watch what Clark Lee has done with this team just over the last 2 years.
So where do you give credit? Is it the coaching of Clark Lee? Is it finally having a quarterback in the program that's a dude that you can count on? Is it the investment from administrators or from boosters? What do you give credit to for helping Vanderbilt now become relevant in college football?
Yeah, it's all those things. I can give you a quick 2-minute history lesson. In 2022, end of the year, they had a 20-game SEC losing streak, and then they ended up beating Florida and Kentucky at home at the end of the year. And this was the end of Clark Lee's second year. And the first year they got beat by, an FCS school. And so everybody thought, okay, the program's on schedule now. They've gone 5-7, gotten 2 SEC wins. And then they come out and they had a couple of guys taken in the transfer portal, several guys that would have been key pieces, went to other schools for not that much money, to be frank with you. And then they went out and got beaten by UNLV in Vegas, I don't know, week 3 of the season. And I don't think they won another game the rest of the year. They might have gotten one more, but it just got ugly quickly. And from that UNLV game on, they realized, okay, what we're doing is not working. Trying to run a pro-style offense against SEC teams and get dudes on par or better than Georgia and Alabama and these teams we face just is not the formula to win here. And so they spent the offseason 2 years ago thinking, how can we get mobile quarterbacks and such? And they had seen what Jerry Kill had done at New Mexico State with Diego Pavia and beating Auburn and knocking off some other good teams here and there. And they said, all right, let's go talk to this guy. And they went after his coordinator. Jerry Kill sat in an interview. Next thing you know, Jerry Kill's retiring and coming to Vandy as a consultant, and Tim Beck as offensive coordinator is leading the offense. Now, they get Diego Pavia. You see the first steps of it last year, but he got hurt midway through the season, guys, and was not the same guy. and they were not the same team. And they spent the offseason going, okay, he's our bell cow. We have got to protect him. And so what they went and did is they got 4 or 5 graduate transfers in the portal on the offensive line, one of whom is Jordan White, who I think has legitimately got a case as a first-team All-American type dude at center. And so step one was getting the new system, getting the coaches to run it. They did a great job. Step two was just going out and getting more talent, and they particularly did it in the trenches. They did it in the portal with some more skill guys. It is an incredibly deep team because they've used the portal really well to fill roles here and there, and it is the best Vanderbilt team in my lifetime.
As you see this Utah State team coming into town, this is the second trip to SEC country they've taken this year. They had a loss at Texas A&M 44-22 about a month ago, just to kind of kick things off here. But they're also a 3-1 team. They beat UTEP out of the gates, but they had a really impressive performance against Air Force, which is always a tough out in the Mountain West for these guys. But the big deal is that Clark Lee knows what he's getting across the sideline in Bronco Mendenhall. That's a guy that we've covered for a lot of years here. We know what he can bring to a program, and that is immediate success. Not necessarily immediate, but he will turn a program into a winner very, very quickly. He's got 86 new guys on this team that came into Logan to play, and now they go down to SEC country again. We covered this guy for a long time. He coaches the heck out of a game, and Clark Lee knows exactly who that guy is. He's seen him in action. He knows they have a history together, and he has a ton of respect for Bronco. What is Utah State bringing in to Vanderbilt this weekend that you've seen on film?
Well, I haven't seen the film yet, other than watching them play Texas A&M, and so I look at the box scores and say, how is this working? Their third down conversions aren't very good. They've given up 16 sacks. But I think the thing, and Clark Lee touched on it Tuesday, is big plays. It seems like they scheme you. Maybe a little bit of what Vanderbilt did a year ago is just try to trick you with formations and things and create some mismatches or advantages for their offense. So it feels like big plays, and I think they've generated a lot of them, are a big key to what they've done. I know they've got a mobile quarterback, which seems to be in vogue in college football again, and that's the key to having a lot of success. And so, to be honest, I don't know a ton about them other than that game and just kind of reading the stat sheet. I know Miles Davis has had a really good year for them too. But, I think for them, it's going to be, can you generate enough big plays to stay in the game? And the sacks, I think, are kind of problematic for them. Like I said, they've given up 16. Vanderbilt's got a really good pass rush up front. A couple of kids named Corday Sidner and Nick Rinaldi, who I think will both be in the NFL this time next year. Rinaldi's a walk-on and a really good story. But I think, to me, when I kind of size this up, I think Utah State is – I think its defense has been on the field for about 50 more plays than its offense, which is kind of problematic when you're playing Vandy too. But to me, it feels like where they've got a chance to challenge them is in big plays, maybe in the passing game, because they have been really efficient per snap this year, both running and throwing the ball.
Clark Lee and Bronco Mendenhall have a past relationship. Nick Howell was a DC at Vanderbilt in 2022 and 23, so there's relationships there. Did Clark Lee talk about those relationships this week before the game?
He did a little bit, and if you go to our website, Vandy 24/7, I think we've got or our YouTube channel, you can see the whole press conference there. He talked about how his son, I think they knew his son because he'd come to practice, and so I think he's on the team at Utah State, and so obviously he was a DC for a couple of years. Clark Lee's a defensive guy. It didn't go well, in terms of on the field stuff, but I think they had a good relationship. He did address it, but he said, "Hey, look, when we tee it up, it's all going to be business." And so I think those were the things that he cited. But I don't know whose advantage that works to Nick Howell having coached against Clark Lee, albeit with a very different offense than what he saw when he ran practices on the other side of the ball.
Chris Lee covers Vanderbilt. Vandy 24/7 is the website where you can find his byline, and they cover all things. I want to know what Diego Pavia's progression has been. Like, that's a guy who obviously played really, really well, but what's he been like now that he's getting all this attention and everybody's waiting? It's almost like they're waiting for him to fall off of that pedestal that he's on, but he hasn't done it yet.
No, I don't think anything's changed with him. He's always been a guy who's been a little brash and always felt like he was better than he was given credit for, and he's right. And as a player, I think I've been asked a few times, is he any better than he was a year ago? I don't really know if I know the answer or not. They depended on him as such a one-man show a year ago, and their talent around him is so much better. I don't know if he's a better player or it's just the talent, but I think the supporting cast is there this year to kind of really back up some of the talk that they were talking last year. Sometimes it went well, and sometimes they got beat by Georgia State. But he's really the same guy as he was when he came to campus, and I don't know where they'd be without him because he infused just a confidence that and just a joy of playing football that I hadn't seen here, probably since I've covered the program. He's just been completely transformational.
Chris, we appreciate your time. We're going to be, of course, watching and listening to this one. This is, the radio home of the Aggies, and so a lot of folks are going to be dialed in, and we're excited about this one. Second trip to the SEC for Utah State this weekend as they take on Vanderbilt. We appreciate your time, Chris.
Yeah, I hope those folks traveling down your way have a safe trip. It's a fun city, and there's a lot to do here.
There you go. Chris, we appreciate it. All right, we'll take another break here. We'll come back. We've got more to go on the program. We have a Would You Rather around the corner you don't want to miss. So stay right here. Stay dialed in. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.